Okay, so if you're doing AQA for GCSE English Language, then in this video I'm going to be going through all of the essay structures for paper 1 question 2, 3 and 4 and paper 2 question 2, 3 and 4 to show you how you can maximize your marks. These are the structures that I used when I was doing my GCSEs and the structures that I'm teaching to my current students as a tutor. I just want to quickly say that if you have any questions or video requests, you can leave them in the comments or you can email me. My email is in my channel bio. I also want to say that make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to be sharing an exciting opportunity at the end of it, and I don't want you guys to miss out on that, so stick around till the end. Okay, so first let's start with paper 1. So paper 1 question 2, the question focuses on the writer's use of language. So you'd analyze things like the writer's word choices and also language features, and by language features I mean things like similes and metaphors. The structure that you would use, that I'd recommend you use for that question, is PETAL. PETAL stands for point, evidence, technique, analysis, link, and you would do 2 of those paragraphs. So let's start with point. So point would be basically you'd find a quote and you'd analyze it, you look at all the connotations, and from the connotations of that quote then you would come up with a point based on the question. For example, you can say something like the writer uses similes to describe the character Zoe as manipulative and cunning, or something like that. That would be your point. Then you would go on to do your evidence. So you get the quote that you analysed before and you would embed it within a sentence. By embedding, it's basically where you put the quote into a sentence. So for example, let's say the quote is the mountain was filled with silence. That's the quote. Not embedding the quote would be doing something like this, where you say the writer uses this quote, colon, and then you say the mountain was filled with silence. That's not embedding the quote. Embedding the quote would be saying something like the writer describes the mountain as being, quote, filled with silence. So you embed the quote within a sentence. The next part is T. So T stands for terminology. So that's where you label the language feature that's been used. This is a very basic and small part of the text. So you don't actually go on for ages saying, oh yeah, the writer uses simile and metaphor and they use verbs and all of that. You literally just say in one sentence, the writer used a simile here, and then you go straight into your analysis. Analysis is the main part of the response, where you talk all about the connotations of the quote, deeper meaning, stuff that isn't explicitly stated within the text. And then finally, the last part is L, which stands for link, which is where you link your analysis back to the original point, back to the original statement, because it's easy to waffle on in your analysis, so you need to round it all up and link it back to the statement to get maximum marks. Next, we have paper 1, question 3. And question 3 is very similar to question 2, except instead of focusing on language, it focuses mainly on structure. So in this question, you can analyze structural features such as foreshadowing, circular narrative, flashbacks, motifs, repetition, zooming in, zooming out, and you can also analyze changes in tone, mood, perspective, and tension throughout the text. The structure that you would typically use is PEAL. PEAL stands for point, evidence, explain, and link, and you do 2 of those paragraphs. So PEAL is very similar to PETAL, except there's no terminology in the middle, but you can of course state what structural feature has been used, for example foreshadowing or flashback. You try and analyze as much as you can. Don't just have one basic sentence of analysis, have a longer like a whole 3, 4, 5 lines of analysis. Have multiple different analyses of the same quote, or layered analyses linked together of the same quote to ensure you get maximum marks. Don't just have one particular idea and leave it at that. Question 3, just like question 2, is 8 marks, so it's 10 minutes that you'd spend on it. Now we move on to paper 1, question 4. For this question, you would be given a statement and asked to what extent do you agree or disagree with the statement, and the statement is obviously going to be related to the source. The statement tends to be very opinionated, and I would recommend always saying that you partially agree with the statement so that you can give a more succinct, balanced response. You'd have an opening statement where you say your response, like do you partially agree, or disagree. You give away your position, so you essentially show the examiner what extent do you agree with the statement, and then you go in to write 4 petal paragraphs. So you have 2 petal paragraphs for agreeing with the statement and 2 petal paragraphs for disagreeing with the statement. And within those petal paragraphs, you would give your ideas related to the source, and you would also back up those ideas by analysing the writer's use of methods. And methods can be anything. It can be language features, it can be structural features, it can be the writer's tone, mood, perspective, it can be sentence forms, it can be the sounds used, so sibilants, assonance. The sky is the limit with regards to methods. If you can find a method and analyze it and link it back to your idea about whether you agree or disagree with the statement, that's going to get you the most marks. And question 4 is 20 marks, so you'd spend around 25 minutes. So that's paper 1 done. And before we move on to paper 2, I just want to quickly say that if you're really struggling with English, you can actually have a free 1-to-1 lesson with an experienced tutor on Lessonwise, where they go through your weak areas, they answer all of your questions with English, and they build your confidence with English completely for free. And these tutors know their staff. They're Oxbridge grads, examiners. I'm also one of the tutors as well, so you may end up getting matched with me. The company also does giveaways where they give away free AirPods and Amazon vouchers just to keep students motivated. And like, it's a free one-to-one lesson, so you might as well take it. To claim your one free lesson, all you have to do is go to the description of this video where I've left a link, click on the link, and then all you have to do is fill out a really quick form. It takes 30 seconds, and so that they can match you to a tutor and get you started. Now let's get back into the video. So let's talk about paper 2 now. So we have paper 2, question 2. And this question is about picking up similarities and differences between two different sources and inferring what the similarities and differences could mean. So what isn't stated directly in the text, basically. That question is 2 Peel paragraphs. So point, evidence, explain, link times 2, and it's 8 marks, so you'd spend 10 minutes on it. And again, like I said before, don't just have one inference and leave it at that. You'd want to have multiple and build on them and layer them to get more marks. Paper 2, question 3 is very similar to paper 1, question 2, because it's again focusing on the writer's use of language. So you'd be doing 2 petal paragraphs again, just like with paper 1, question 2. And this question is 12 marks, so it's 15 minutes. You'd want to try and beef out your analysis a bit more, have more ideas to layer it on and get more marks. Finally, paper 2, question 4 is comparing writers' ideas and perspectives across 2 different sources. This one has a slightly different structure, so how you would do it is it's called PQIC, and you do 2 of those. The PQIC stands for point, quotation, inference, comparison, connective, point, quotation, inference, cross compare. This question is 16 marks, so you spend around 20 minutes on it. So what you would do is you'd get a point for the first source, you'd find a quotation which you'd embed, then you'd make an inference, and then you'd make a comparison connective such as however, on the other hand. Then you'd go on to talk about the other source, you'd make a point, you'd find a quotation, embed it, make an inference, and then you'd cross compare between the 2 different sources. So you'd have like a cross comparison sentence comparing the 2 based on all the previous analysis you just did. And you would do 2 of those, so in total you'd have around 4 paragraphs. And now for the opportunity that I wanted to share with you guys. We have a few weeks left until GCSEs now, so I've put together a webinar over Zoom on Saturday the 10th of May, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m, where I go through last minute revision tips, what to do if you haven't covered all of the content yet, how to stay calm during exams, and how to keep revising in between exams. There's also a live Q&A with me where I can answer all of your questions in real time. Only £5 to get a space, and spaces are limited, so if you do want to book, email me on this email as soon as possible so that I can register and book you in. Do that as soon as you can because I wouldn't want you guys to miss out. And yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. I hope you guys found this helpful. Again, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments or you can email me. Good luck with your exams, you got this, and yeah, bye guys.